Hi, I'm Beth from Restyled Pieces Boutique. Welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to be working on a three-piece set today. It is a long dresser and two nightstands. It's just kind of boring and brown and plain, and I'm going to change it into something classic and beautiful and add a little color to your life. So if you want to watch this makeover, stay tuned. Here we have it. Brown, boring. I need to change it into something more modern and a little more attractive. So I'm getting started. Whoops, I found a color pad in there, a watercolor pad. So if I want to draw, I get bored, I can do that. So I'm starting out by vacuuming all these pieces on the underside to remove any dirt and dust, cobwebs, things like that. You'd be surprised what's underneath your furniture. You don't want to know. So, and then I'm vacuuming out the insides of these drawers and just giving them a nice clean up before I start using my cleaner that I use on my pieces. I will be using Pure Power from Farmhouse paint. It is a cleaner, degreaser. It's really good for dirt and to get off all those waxes and things on the pieces of furniture. This set is a lot of wood. It does have a little bit of MDF in it on some of the sides. As you can see, there's a broken drawer runner. There were quite a few broken pieces on these drawer runners, but I'm going to see if I can try to find something that matches to fix that. So look at all those broken things, the back guides, the side guides, the front plastic runner piece. So I have my work cut out for me on these drawers. I first wanted to sand down the top. I like sanding down the top first and seeing what I have underneath to see if I have some pretty grain and something that I can stain or paint wash and look fabulous, because I like to keep those as natural as I can. It just depends. So let's see what we have underneath here. It was not a veneer, so I knew I could start with an 80 and go through all my grits. In between grits, I always brush off all the dust. I try to brush off the dust. You don't want any of the dust sitting in there and causing problems when you try to go to your next grit. So I'm dusting all those off. Going to my next grit, I go 80, 120, 180, and then 220. 220 makes a nice smooth surface for any paint or stain. As I'm looking at the grain though during this time of sanding, I'm noticing that it's really not pretty. I mean, it's just kind of a mismatch of different kinds of wood. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's got some dings and dents that I'm going to have to fill in, so I'm probably not going to be able to stain it and keep it that exact way. I'm thinking I might do a Pottery Barn faux finish look or maybe a blended look. We'll see. So when I have two nightstands, I label them A and B. So these drawers are different size, so I don't have to do like number one drawer, number two drawer, because I can tell where they go inside the piece. So this is letter B, and then inside the nightstand, I will actually write a letter B inside that nightstand, because drawers sometimes don't want to go in, even though they look the right size, they're put in a certain way and they don't want to change it up. Okay, so I took all the drawers out of this big long dresser and I'm sanding the drawers, scuff sanding those and getting some of those areas around the hardware sanded just a little bit more, because when it has hardware on it, you take it off. Sometimes you can see little indentations and you don't want that coming out in your paint if you decide to do a different size knob or something. So scuff sanding is also to rough up your surface, get out those little scratches, smooth those out, but also rough up that slick surface that's on there when your dressers have been coated or sealed at the factory. So you want to rough that up so you can be able to paint and the paint will stick to it. So I'm taking my Surf Prep. I did the flat surfaces. Now I'm using my Mushy Gushy pad on my Surf Prep 3x4 electric ray sander. And this helps to go around all of those parts of the dresser that have curves and inside surfaces. So you can see I'm doing that next. And I used quite a bit of sandpaper because it is a 3-piece set. And so I had some of my Festool sanding paper, the round ones, the 5-inch round. And then I had some that I've used that need to be tossed from my Surf Prep. So lots of fun. I actually do like sanding tops down to see what's underneath. Moving on, I'm just spraying with a little bit of water and wiping up all this dust that was created by my scuff sanding. Because the drawers overhang on the frame of the piece, in other words, they're not flush with the piece, I'm not going to be spraying these drawers inside the piece, which is what I do a lot of times. So I'm taping those up and I'm taping them all the way around because I will be setting them down the floor or on a platform so that I can spray them. So I don't want any spray dust getting on my drawers on the inside or the sides. It's just easier, and I've taped up my drawers a lot of times and it doesn't take me very long at all. Now I'm using Farmhouse paint wood pate wood filler. This wood filler is like pudding. It's so easy to put on. It comes in a light color and a dark color. I'm using the dark color here, and what I'm doing with this is I'm just filling in little indentations and dents and dings that you can see. The hardware there has a indentation like I was talking about earlier. And this drawer has some dings and dents that I want to cover up and I don't want showing through on my paint job. So this dries very quickly. It's water-based, so you can just clean up your putty knife after, and we'll wait for that to dry and then sand it down smooth. I also like to tape off the backs so that I don't accidentally get any overspray on the backs of my pieces. It just makes for such a more professional look and more neat if you tape those up. Once I have everything taped up, it is time to prime, and I am using Kills Restoration Primer. I had it tinted in a light gray, and it is water-based primer. It blocks bleed through very well. It promotes adhesion for my paint so that my paint will stick, and it's a nice, smooth, even surface, prolonging the life of that paint job. So I always like to use primer. It's just my preference. I'm also using my Fuji Q5 Platinum sprayer. It is quite the investment. I've had, I think, 4 sprayers. This is my 4th sprayer. By far the best and the most versatile, and I just love this sprayer. Here's what I'm talking about, how I need to spray my drawers because those edges hang over the edge of the frame. And if I sprayed with them in, I would have stuff under the edge of the drawers on the dresser that I didn't paint. So I just lay those out. There's 11 drawers. Got those done, thank goodness. And now I'm ready for color. This is Farmhouse Evolution paint in their newer color, Midnight Navy. I just love this color. Oh my goodness. This paint is beautiful. It goes on smoothly. It is durable. It dries in 1 hour. It cures in 1 day, so you can sell your piece the next day if you want to, use it the next day. I just love this color and I'm so excited to try it. This is my first time trying it. All the products that I'm using in this video are in the description below. If you want to click on those links and check those out, then they're all down there below. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. As you can see, I use some distilled water, and I do thin my Farmhouse paint evolution line about 10%, maybe sometimes not quite that much, so it'll go through my sprayer smoothly. When you're spraying a piece with a sprayer, and this goes with any sprayer, you should keep your nozzle about 6 to 8 inches away from your piece. If you get too close, you might get drips or runs, or you might get bounce back, which is going to cause some problems with your finish. You also want to make sure that you test out your pattern or test out how it's going to look on a cardboard piece or brown paper or rolled paper or something before you start spraying it on your piece. Just some good tips before you start spraying. You also want to overlap each of your passes about 50%, which means you spray one line, and then I always even up my nozzle as best I can with the middle of the line that I just did, the end of the line that I just did, and that usually helps me, if that makes any sense at all, that usually helps me to make sure I overlap enough. So I had to set these down on a platform because they wouldn't stand up on their own. So yeah, I grabbed a few of them and sprayed my own hands. So blue is my color. So here I'm taking these broken drawer guides in the back of the drawers and I'm unscrewing them. I found the makers, the brand of these guides, and I looked them up on Amazon, found the exact replacements, which hardly ever happens in furniture refinishing, but I did. And I'm just kind of moving that metal bar around a little bit. Sometimes I'm having to bang it back into place so that I can get those guides to fit, and replacing them. And this front guide or whatever you want to call it, this front piece was totally broken off. You'll see in a minute what it's supposed to look like. So I just unscrew that. I'm popping that out. I keep saying that. It was really hard to get this one out. It didn't want to come out. So I had to get my screwdriver and got it popped out. And then this is what it's supposed to look like. So then I put the new piece in there and I just screw it back on, and then the drawer just guided right on there and worked smoothly. Sometimes these kind of drawer runners are a little bit hard to get on just perfectly. I did notice that the metal guide was sticking out a little bit, so I just crimped it and got it in there. And they have like a stopping point. You don't think it's going to go in, but then you just push it a little bit or bang it closed. Not bang it, but push it a little bit, and then it slides smoothly. So here I'm taping up the bottom because I need to do my tops. These only have primer on them, that gray Kills Restoration primer. So I'm putting some delicate tape, Scotch tape, on these pieces on the paint job because I don't want to put frog tape on there. I love frog tape. It works fabulously, but you want delicate tape when you've painted a surface. It is cured now because it's been a couple days, but I don't want to pull off paint when I pull off that tape. So I put the lavender tape on there first, the delicate tape, and then I'm using my Scotch tape plus plastic, and I'm wrapping up the whole bottom of the piece because I'm messy when I do the tops, and I don't want any of that paint or glaze or whatever I'm using to fall on the rest of my piece. I've decided that I didn't like all of the open grain. There was a lot of like little tiny holes in the grain, and so I'm going to be grain filling. I took some wood filler, some white wood filler, and I mixed it with water, and then I just make it almost like a little roux, you know, like when you mix flour with milk, kind of a thin consistency, but thick enough to go in and secure itself in those little holes. So I'm brushing it against the grain first so that I can get it inside all those places, and then with the grain, and then I let it dry and I will sand it smoothly, and you'll see that it settles in all those pieces of the grain so well. I've decided to do a Pottery Barn look finish and on the top of this. And so I'm using Farmhouse paint. It's Evolution paint again. It's that quick drying, durable paint, does not need a top coat. And this color is hybrid beige. So I like to use a light beige or a medium beige or sometimes really light, almost white, under my Pottery Barn-inspired finishes. Because it just is the perfect color. Hybrid beige, I found, is a great color for this. It turns out a beautiful medium light brown. So I'm covering my whole surface, and then I'll let it dry. And the next morning I come out and I sand it real lightly with a 220. And now I'm putting on a brown glaze. So I'm putting on this water-based brown glaze. I just want to get that glaze on. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to be doing something else to it, and you'll see in a minute. So, but I just try to get it all covered, kind of smooth it out, and then move on to my next step. I did add extender to this so that I'd have more work time. Extender just increases the dry time. So I'm using my deck brush just to go over the piece and smooth it out, and I keep doing that several times. About every time or two, I go across, make a pass. I wipe it off on a towel because that glaze will wet down your brush, and you don't want to just be spreading that around. You want to take some of it off of your piece. So I wipe it back with a towel on my brush, and then I go over it and over it and over it till it has the look that I want. And you want to make sure to be careful to go in straight lines and don't make your lines curved when you're going down this long dresser. I love this beautiful look and the color with the blue, and it'll just need to dry, and then I'll top coat. In the meantime, while I'm waiting, I'm using It's the Bomb by Farmhouse paint. It's a wood conditioner. It adds moisture back into the wood, and it just brings out the beauty in the wood. Now we're going to go back to the very beginning. I'm not going to show you anymore because I want you to remember what these pieces looked like to begin with. Brown and boring. And here's what they look like now. I love this color of the paint, the beautiful finish. I love the Pottery Barn-inspired top that goes with it, and the beautiful new hardware and drawer liners. Oh, I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. Thanks for joining me today on my channel. And if you would like to subscribe, just hit that subscribe button down there and you will get notified when new videos come out. So I will see you later. Bye-bye.